So, designing content for an unexplored medium is insanely difficult. There is little documentation, few established paradigms, and an infinite number of invisible pitfalls to fall into. Now, historically, carving out patterns in 2D mediums took years or generations to establish. However, with the guardrails of bleed, resolution, focal length, it made the process somewhat, manageable. But the medium of spatial computing is vastly more nuanced and complicated than its flat brethren. And like AI, many understand of its power, yet few truly understand how to utilize its creative potential. But I truly believe that the ability to design in a new medium requires the ability to understand the nuances of its constraints. Now, there are a million nuances to XR design because, well, there's a million ways to design for the world and for the human body. So instead of me trying to fit every concept into a single video, I've decided to chip away at them one by one. So today we will be discussing the power of constraints, how our 2D past will affect our 3D future, the importance of skeuomorphism, and a broad overview of the challenges that lie ahead. So if you like this kind of content, let me know with a like or subscribe. And if you agree or disagree with me at any point of this video, let me know with a comment down below. Okay, with that, let's get into it. So to start the journey of understanding the challenges of great XR design, we need to define the concept of constraints. See, you'll find as designers that constraints aren't just obstacles to get over. They're the very foundation upon which we build our work. So for the sake of time, let's breeze through the 3 types of constraints we typically encounter. And to start, let's be positive here and let's talk about the good. So think of good constraints as clear, unequivocal boundaries that neatly outline the problem space. Good constraints often appear as clear demographics, budget, and a well-defined deliverable, among other things. Then there are poor constraints. Poor constraints are often vague and ill-defined boundaries, and in many ways, they're like trying to color within a set of lines that just keep shifting. Ever had a client demand something pop or a product go viral? Well, that's kind of the epitome of a poor constraint. And while poor constraints may seem like the bane of your existence right now, there's something even more insidious. Enter deceptive and what I call wicked constraints. Now, wicked constraints are those sneaky minimal guardrails that present an illusion of simplicity only to ensnare you with hidden complications. And a classic example of this is the illusion of creative freedom. Now, some of you may dream of creative freedom in your design work, but nothing in life is free, and creativity in design is not the exception. Wandering aimlessly and feeling your way through a design is a one-way ticket to hell. And trust me, I know, I've done it. And for that reason, that's why we have design standards and design theory. Now, a true craftsman is one who can navigate through the murky waters of poor and wicked constraints and lay down a solid groundwork of well-defined limitations and build upon them. However, with every new medium comes the unknown, which means the majority of good, poor, and wicked constraints are invisible to us. So, as creatives, how do we bring light and define the constraints of a new era? Well, kind of have to look at our past. Okay, so bear with me here. Historically, our species have always been dedicated to tooling and technology. And I'm going to be using the term technology very broadly here. Teeth, clubs, ink, fire, these are all forms of technology. But by far the most powerful tool humans have ever built has been the story. From religion and money to love and family, we crafted intersubjective tales that bind our species together to accomplish incredible things. And to progress, we decided to hand off that knowledge to one another by setting it in stone. However, as our species grew, our desire to share beliefs to the masses just grew and grew with it. But the rise of the 2D medium brought with it a whole bunch of constraints and trade-offs. Sure, the constraints of the frame led us to create amazing art and content that can fit inside your pocket. But in exchange, we've had to give up the interpersonal exchange of information. And Socrates, for the most part, understood this Faustian bargain thousands of years ago, although he may have been a little bit too hyperbolic about the whole thing. Regardless, the deal was done, the frame was set, and the constraints over time were established. And like everything else, humans desired to break those constraints, and that led us to evolve the medium of storytelling. Using the rules of bleed, resolution, data, and focal length, humans have manipulated the frame to not only publish data, but to help distill the abstraction of the human condition. But this innovation of the 2D frame took thousands of years and trials and tribulation to evolve. So will it be the same for the 3D world and immersive content? And what the hell is immersive content anyways? Well, let's talk about skeuomorphism. Now, there has been some cringe takes about flat design being dead, but you know, there's a little bit of truth to it. As many of you noticed by now, skeuomorphic design is all the rage. And while I personally believe much of this shit is superficial, skeuomorphism tends to often rise holistically as a result of technological transition. And I believe this new era of faux 3D is the result of the rise of spatial computing. Now, the idea of immersive 3D has been around for a very long time, but in many ways, this form of 3D, stereoscopic 3D, has been wildly impractical and lackluster. Well, until now, I guess. However, as time marched on, the term 3D has taken on multiple meanings, and the most popular form is often referred to as CGI or 3D modeling. And these forms of 3D aren't actually three-dimensional. I mean, no shit. 3D UI models and environments are simply translations or representations of real-world 3D content for a 2D surface. And at the end of the day, they have no depth or physical presence. And this is why skeuomorphism is so powerful, because at its heart, skeuomorphism is attempting to utilize the power of real-world affordances and the objects in the physical space to establish clear signifiers to their users. And that's really the crux of the issue with the 2D medium. It's not the reality in which we occupy. It's an illusion, an interpretation. And while XR may offer us a more compelling illusion, it's at least built around the world we occupy. And this means for the first time in mass communicating history, the Faustian bargain is about to expire. We will no longer need to sacrifice immersion for portability. In fact, the human experience will become both more nuanced and abstract, yet grounded back in reality. And this means that the screen will no longer be a barrier between your family, friends, and loved ones. Instead, we will be able to occupy the physical world while supplementing it with the digital. So what kind of superpowers will we gain? Well, for the first time as creators, we will be able to utilize the human field of view to establish visual hierarchy composition in ways that we've never dreamed of. But this means we will have to understand the foibles of the human eye. Even more impressive is that XR design can expand past the human eye to supplement the human body. This means a whole new generation of designers or fashion creators will be able to craft clothing, jewelry, and other human accessories digitally, allowing the human body to become an endless creative canvas. But this also means that creators will need to understand the vast permutations of the human form, which seems like a pretty rad opportunity for accessibility. Yet again, XR will be able to move even past the human form and help us redefine reality. Similar to the camera lens, scalable immersion will grant creators the ability to supplement, mix, or create multiple different realities. Even more, we can actually take these realities and intertwine them together. And of course, this will have all kinds of health ramifications. But that said, even though we will all soon have access to this new medium, it doesn't mean that the flat world will go away. Flat design will be with us forever and will have an important role to play in this new era of communication. Now, these are just a few new topics I want to explore in depth, and so I guess that's my plan, to explore the deeper questions of XR and help facilitate a broader conversation with creators and builders just like you. Now, I work about 80 hours a week and I have a wife, so these videos will likely come out monthly, but I really want to keep this conversation going. So I'm going to attempt to do a shortly weekly video answering questions by you. Just leave them down below or add them to the XR Discord. So to jumpstart the discussion, I have some questions. As a designer, how do you view constraints? Do they suck? Do you love them? Is creative freedom a constraint for you? If so, why not? What has been the most wicked constraint you have encountered in design in general? Seriously, challenge me, debate me, it's fun. I mean, you don't need to be an asshole, but everyone loves a cheeky bastard every now and then. Anyways, if you want to learn more about XR design, check out these videos right here. And until next time, everyone, take care and plus minus.